In the mountain village of Milika in Africa, when the first rays of the sun touched the leaves, the green fields shimmered like gold. In that very village lived a 12-year-old girl named Ayuna, bright-eyed, barefoot, always running, always climbing over stones. Ayuna was different from everyone else. She could hear the wind, soft whispers, like someone was calling her name. One morning, as she sat near the edge of the forest, a gentle voice drifted through the breeze. "Ayuna, can you hear us?" She froze. Her eyes darted around. No one was there. Only trees, birds, and the wind. "Who's there?" she whispered. The wind laughed softly. "We are the ones who guard your village, but danger is drawing near." Suddenly, dark clouds gathered in the sky. From the mountain's peak, a plume of smoke rose, like the earth had screamed. Terrified, Ayuna ran toward home. On the path, her grandmother stood waiting, an old wooden locket in her hand. "If you've heard the wind, then the time has come, Ayuna." Ayuna's heartbeat quickened. Time for what? Her grandmother looked up at the sky. "The wind has chosen you. You must learn its language before the mountain awakens." The wind whispered again, but now, its voice carried a hidden secret. And just like that, the story had only begun. The next morning, Ayuna decided she would practice talking to the wind. Barefoot, she ran to the edge of the forest, stretched out her arms, and closed her eyes. "Wind, are you here?" she asked seriously. For a moment, everything was silent, then suddenly, a strong gust blew past her. "We're always here." Ayuna's skirt flew up, her hair scattered in every direction, and a handful of leaves smacked right into her face. "Hey, wait. I wanted to talk to you, not the leaves," she said, laughing. The wind swirled around again, even stronger this time, so much that Ayuna's herd of goats got scared and ran away, bleating loudly. They rushed back to the village, and Ayuna chased after them, laughing and panting. The whole village burst into laughter. "Look! Ayuna's playing with her new friend, the wind," they said. Her grandmother stood by, smiling gently. "The wind is a friend," she said, "but also a bit mischievous. If you want it to listen, first you must teach it how to smile." Ayuna blinked in surprise. "How can I teach the wind to smile?" Grandmother replied, "Where there is joy, the wind will always flow softly." Ayuna closed her eyes and let out a genuine, bright laugh, one that came straight from her heart. The wind paused, as if it were listening. Then it circled around her with a soft, bell-like hum. That is the language of the wind, joy. The leaves began to dance, the goats returned calmly, and tiny colorful feathers floated into Ayuna's hair. Ayuna giggled, "Looks like the wind passed my test today." It was early morning, the sky was blue and gleaming. Ayuna's heart raced with excitement. Today, she was going to the mountain with the wind, the same mountain from which smoke had risen the night before. "Wind," she called out. "Let's start our adventure." The wind whispered mischievously, "Get ready, little brave one." Suddenly, a swirl of air lifted Ayuna gently off the ground, as if the earth itself had let her go. "Hey! Put me down!" Ayuna squealed, but the wind only laughed harder. She soared above the forest until she reached the foot of the great mountain. There, everything was eerily silent. The ground was warm, and strange glowing marks shimmered on the rocks, as if someone had drawn a map with light. Ayuna touched one with her finger, and it began to glow even brighter. "What is this?" she whispered. The wind replied softly, "These are the doors of the spirits. But be careful, not every door opens with laughter." Curious, Ayuna stepped closer, but just then, her funny little goat followed her again. It bumped right into the glowing mark, and the door creaked open with a long, echoing sound. A whirl of light burst out, making Ayuna's hair stand on end. "Oh no! I just wanted to look," she cried. The wind laughed playfully. "Look! Now you're going inside." In the next instant, the light wrapped around both Ayuna and the goat. And together, they were swept into a new, shimmering world, where trees sang and stones spoke. Ayuna's eyes widened. "Wind, now the real adventure has begun." When the light finally faded, Ayuna slowly opened her eyes. Before her stood a forest, but not an ordinary one. Every tree had a face, eyes, a nose, and enormous lips carved into their bark. One of them yawned. "Oh, a new guest has arrived." Another chuckled, "Look, she must be the wind's favorite child." Ayuna stood frozen. You can talk." The trees burst into laughter. A leaf drifted down and whispered softly, "That's the problem, little one, we've always talked, but no one ever listens." Just then, Ayuna's goat bleated from behind. "I'm listening, but only if someone feeds me grass." The trees roared with laughter, their leaves shaking so hard they fell like snowflakes around her. Ayuna smiled. "I came here to listen to you. But the wind said you were angry." "Why?" An old tree, wrapped in dozens of vines, spoke in a deep, weary voice. "The wind says you've been chosen. But beneath our roots, darkness grows. The mountain is awakening, and with it, a shadow." Ayuna frowned. "A shadow? What kind of shadow?" The old tree sighed. "The kind that devours light itself. We know it by one name, Nura." Just then, the wind's whisper curled through the branches, soft yet urgent. "Ayuna, time is running out. If you don't understand the tree's message, Nura will swallow our sky. Ayuna placed her hand over her heart, feeling the rhythm of the wind within her chest. Then I must learn more than the language of the wind, she said firmly. Maybe I need to listen to the hearts of the trees too. The forest began to grow silent. The rustling of leaves faded, the birds' songs dimmed, and even the air felt heavy, as if the wind itself had stopped breathing. Wind, where are you? Ayuna called softly. The wind whispered faintly, I'm here, but Nura is awakening. Suddenly, a tremor rippled beneath the ground. One of the great trees shuddered, and from its roots a dark smoke began to rise, twisting, swirling, until it formed into a shadowy figure with ember-like eyes and a hollow, echoing voice. So, this is the wind's chosen child, the shadow said. Ayuna stepped back, heart pounding, but her little goat stood firmly in front of her. Move, goat! Ayuna cried. The goat snorted. I've never been brave before, but I'm not hungry enough to run away either. The shadow laughed, a cold, metallic laugh that made the air shiver. You all forget, wherever there is light, there must also be shadow. Ayuna closed her eyes and pressed her hand to her heart. Wind, give me strength, she whispered. The air stirred, then whirled into a golden spiral around her. Leaves danced wildly as a circle of light formed at her feet. The shadow recoiled, its smoky form flickering, breaking apart, but before it vanished completely, it hissed. This is only the beginning, Ayuna. Nura has not yet fully awakened. The wind's voice softened again. You've passed your first trial. But the path ahead will not be lit by light, only by belief. Ayuna looked up at the sky. The clouds drifted away, and the wind brushed her hair gently, as if whispering. We are with you, little brave one. Morning came, and the forest leaves shimmered in the sunlight. Ayuna gently patted her goat's head. It's time, we have to reach the temple of the wind. The goat yawned. Fine, as long as there's grass on the way. The wind whispered softly, beyond the mountain, among the clouds, lies the temple where all answers rest. Ayuna took her first step, but the path was far from easy. Soon, she came upon a wide river, its water so blue it looked as if the sky had fallen onto the earth. What now? She wondered aloud. Just then, a tiny frog leapt onto a rock and croaked. If you promise to listen to my song, I'll help you cross. Ayuna giggled. A song? All right then, sing. The frog began to sing, terribly off-key. The goat covered its ears and groaned, make it stop. But as the strange melody filled the air, the river began to shimmer. The water rose into gentle waves that shaped themselves into a bridge of rippling light. Ayuna's eyes widened. Is this magic? The frog smiled. No, little one, it's music. Magic happens when the heart is happy. Together, the three continued on. At the top of the mountain, the wind grew fierce, swirling around a temple hidden among the clouds. Symbols glowed on its walls, the same ones Ayuna had seen before. The wind spoke again, calm and deep. This is where you will truly learn the language of the wind. But to enter, you need more than courage, you need the silence of the heart. Ayuna closed her eyes. The wind fell still. Then, the great doors slowly opened, and from within came not light, but a voice. It echoed through the sky. Welcome, Ayuna. The wind has been waiting for you. Ayuna stepped forward. Inside the temple of the wind, everything was transparent, as if carved from drifting clouds. The walls moved like soft waves, glowing and shifting colors with every breath she took. This place, it's breathing? Ayuna whispered in awe. The wind replied gently, This place is me, Ayuna. Suddenly, the light gathered in the air and shaped itself into a glowing figure. A woman with hair that flowed like clouds and eyes that shone like twin stars in the sky. I am the spirit of the wind, she said, her voice like music and thunder together. And you, Ayuna, are the one who can hear my heart. Ayuna blinked, stepping back slightly. Me? But I'm just an ordinary girl. The spirit smiled softly. Ordinary? The one who speaks with the wind, makes trees laugh, and drives shadows away. How could she ever be ordinary? From behind, the goat muttered, If this spirit feeds me some grass, I'll believe in all the magic you want. The spirit laughed, her voice echoing like wind chimes. Grass will come later. First, you must hear the truth. The light dimmed, and an image appeared on the temple floor, a vision of dark smoke spreading beneath the mountain. This is Nura, the spirit said gravely. A shadow born from light itself, now seeking to destroy it. He will awaken when the 3 breaths beneath the mountain are broken. 3 breaths. Ayuna repeated. The spirit nodded. Yes, the breath of the trees, the breath of the river, and the last, the breath of the wind itself. The air around them fell silent. Ayuna's eyes widened in fear. If the wind stops breathing, then everything ends. As Ayuna stepped out of the temple of the wind, her heart was pounding. The first breath, the tree's breath. If it fades, everything will end. The wind whispered urgently, You must go back, Ayuna. Nura has poisoned the roots. As they descended the mountain, the goat yawned loudly. I keep telling you, magic is dangerous. Let's stop for some grass first. Ayuna laughed. If you eat grass, I'll save the trees. Deal? The goat shrugged. Deal. When they reached the forest, Ayuna gasped. The leaves were withered, the trees weak and grey. One of the trees spoke faintly, Noura has stolen our breath. Only the laughter of the wind can wake us again. The laughter of the wind? Ayuna asked in surprise. The wind whispered, remember when you made me laugh? Now you must make the entire forest laugh. Ayuna took a deep breath, spread her arms wide, and suddenly began a ridiculous dance. One foot here, one hand there, leaves tangled in her hair, even the goat joined in, spinning clumsily beside her. The trees stared in confusion at first, and then, one by one, began to laugh. Their leaves rustled joyfully, swirling in the air like applause. Ha ha ha! Ayuna, you're completely crazy, the goat bleated. Ayuna laughed too. Crazy? Maybe. But look, the trees are waking up. And it was true, with a gentle whisper of wind, the leaves turned green again. The forest breathed once more. The wind's soft voice carried through the trees. The first breath is safe, Ayuna. Two remain. Ayuna looked up at the brightening sky. Then it's time to save the river's breath, and maybe learn how to swim. At the edge of the forest, the river flowed, but today it was silent. No ripples, no sparkle, only a cold, heavy stillness. Ayuna knelt and touched the surface of the water. River, why won't you wake up? She whispered. The wind answered softly, Noura has frozen its heart. You must go below, into the city of water. The city of water, the goat's ears perked up. I can't swim. Ayuna grinned. Neither can I, but I have the wind. In an instant, the wind swirled around them, wrapping them like a gentle storm. Bubbles rose, and slowly, they sank beneath the surface. Below lay a breathtaking world, a shimmering city made of blue light. Fish swam by in glowing robes, and coral streets sparkled like jewels. Children made of water giggled, playing with bubbles that floated like tiny moons. Then, a deep, calm voice echoed through the waves. Who dares to reach the heart of the river? The water shimmered, and a radiant face appeared, eyes like the deep ocean, hair flowing like liquid silver. I am the spirit of the river. And you are the child of the wind, aren't you? Ayuna nodded. I've come to save your breath. The spirit's voice grew soft. My breath is bound by Noura. To free it, you need not laughter, but a memory. A memory? Ayuna asked. The spirit nodded. Water flows only through tears that are true. A single tear slipped from Ayuna's eye. As it touched the river, the entire world lit up, waves began to dance, and the river breathed again. The spirit smiled. You have saved the second breath, Ayuna. But the last one, is the wind itself. To save it, you must be ready to give up your heart. The sky above the mountain had turned black. The air was heavy, silent, as if the world itself had stopped breathing. Ayuna looked up at the peak, the same mountain where everything had begun, now swallowed by Noura's shadow. The wind's voice grew faint. Ayuna, I am fading. No. Ayuna cried out. I won't let you die. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Smoke erupted, reaching high into the sky. From within the darkness, Noura appeared, a towering shadow, eyes blazing like fire. So you've returned, child of the wind. But it's too late now. The third breath is mine. Ayuna stepped forward, her heart steady. You are darkness, Noura, but remember, I am the wind, and wind always finds a way through the light. Noura laughed cruelly. The wind. It's gone silent. Ayuna closed her eyes and placed her hand over her heart. The wind is my friend. And friends never die, they live inside our hearts. Suddenly, the air around her began to shimmer. Leaves, laughter, and echoes of voices rose together, spinning in a circle of golden light. The wind returned, bright and alive, swirling around Ayuna like a storm of hope. Noura stumbled back, screaming, "This cannot be." Ayuna's voice rang out clear, "This is love, and love changes everything." Light burst through the sky. Noura vanished into smoke. The mountain glowed again, and the wind began to breathe freely once more. Ayuna collapsed to the ground, her breath shallow. The wind whispered, "You saved me, Ayuna, but now your breath belongs to me." Ayuna smiled faintly. "If my breath lives in you, then I'll live forever." Soft morning light spread across the mountains. The leaves of the trees rustled gently, as if whispering secrets to each other. The villagers stood in wonder. After many silent days, the wind had returned. A child ran to the riverbank, shouting, "Look! The water is dancing again." The river sparkled, the sky turned bright blue, and the clouds seemed to laugh. The old woman closed her eyes and whispered, "This is Ayuna's breath, she has come back, with the wind." At that very moment, a faint laughter echoed through the forest. Invisible, untouchable. But every heart could feel it. The wind drifted between the trees. The flowers bowed to greet it. And when it brushed against the mountain stones, a soft blue light shimmered upon them. Now, every night, the children of the village gather in the open field. When the wind touches their faces, they whisper softly, "It's Ayuna speaking." One day, a little girl looked up and asked, "Ayuna, are you still here?" The wind gently lifted her hair, and a voice came from far away. I am where you laugh, where you breathe. Since then, the people of the village call the wind Ayuna, because they believe that love, when it is true, never dies. It simply changes form, sometimes becoming the wind, sometimes a memory, and sometimes a story. Years passed. The mountain still stood tall, the river still hummed its quiet song. But the village had changed. New homes, new faces, yet every morning carried the same whisper. The wind has returned. One day, a little girl named Lima sat by the riverbank, playing with the sand. She looked up at the sky and asked softly, "Mom, does the wind really speak?" Her mother smiled. "When your heart learns how to listen, my dear, everything begins to speak." Lima closed her eyes. The wind swirled gently around her. Soft, warm, like an old friend telling a secret. "Are you Ayuna?" she whispered. The wind laughed. "No, Lima. I am the breath Ayuna left behind, so that you could write your own story." Suddenly, from the branches nearby, a glowing butterfly appeared, its wings shimmering with blue light. The same light that once carried Ayuna's breath. Lima held out her hand. The butterfly landed softly on her finger and said, "Remember, the world changes, but the breath of love never stops." Later, the village elders said, "Lima has learned to hear the language of the wind." From that day on, every generation told the same story, of the girl who became the wind. And when the African dusk falls and the leaves begin to rustle, those same words still drift through the air. I am where you laugh, where you breathe.